ranking every member of the Konoha 12 based off strength. Let me give you a fair bit of context. This ranking will not be a ranking of the Konoha 12 strength at the end of Naruto, but only at the end of the CHUNIN exams. I've actually been meaning to make this video for a while, after overanalyzing the CHUNIN exams to be exact, but I'm not gonna lie to you, my dumbass forgot. But given that I want to make another one of these lists at the end of Sasuke Recovery and for all of overanalyzing Shippuden, I might as well get this one out so we can revisit it at the end of Sasuke Recovery and at the end of every Shippuden arc. If right away you see an absolute egregious ranking for a character that's dumb strong at the end of Naruto, I'm just gonna restate this. I'm only ranking based off how strong they are at the end of the CHUNIN exams. So this ranking doesn't reflect them as characters or really even going forward, because this list is relative. In reality, the only thing that matters is the final list. The ones before are kind of just a fun way to see their progress, if that makes sense. I'll even put their level of strength in the top right, just to also recognize them individually so this isn't just one big comparison. And yeah, enough yap. Enjoy the video. Or don't, that's up to you. If Ino's in 12, then you know who's in 11. The only reason I think Ino is weaker than Sakura is because she seems to be heavily reliant on the people around her. And I know Sakura and Ino tied in their prelims fight, but you can't deny the fact that a huge part of that fight was plot convenience in Ino's favor, and that it had to be cancelled out by more plot convenience. But just like a lot of the Konoha 12, Ino has obvious potential. So we'll see where she ends up in future installments of this list, but for now, she's at the bottom. Who could have guessed Sakura was after Ino? It's not like they were pretty much equal against each other. As I've said a million times up to this point, like 99.9% of Sakura's character arc in the CHUNIN exams was mental, so there was no room for any physical improvement. The CHUNIN exam shows us how strong Sakura is instead of showing her improve, since this is technically our first time seeing her fighting. Cause as weird as it sounds, we don't actually see her fight in the Land of Waves. The silver lining though is that Sakura leaves this arc at a really good spot, and I seriously doubt she'll be at this spot again, but who knows? We'll just have to wait. This might come off as a surprise, until you realize just how many people can counter a giant bowling ball. I think Choji as a character is fun, but he's very clearly weak. Here's the genin that lose to Choji, and here's the genin that beat Choji. As you can see, it's a pretty drastic difference. If you take out all the other genin and only have the Konoha 12, he falls perfectly into 10th. Next time I do a list like this, Choji's ranking will drastically change, so get ready. But for now, he's 10th. I think given a genuine chance in this arc, Tenten would be shown as pretty strong, but she doesn't really get any moments, so she has to be low. Not only that, but given the fact that we see a lot of strong close-range fighters in this arc like Lee, Neji, Kiba, and Dosu, Tenten gives a good change of pace against them, even if she is one of the weakest out of the long-range characters. Don't let this ranking fool you. I think Hinata noticeably had the most potential out of this bottom half besides Sakura. Sure, she kinda gets stomped in her fight, but that matchup was also kinda just bad luck. I think Hinata might just be the strongest female genin besides Temari, and that's somewhat arguable, even if Temari would easily win that matchup. With that being said, she's still weaker than the rest of this list, even if it gets close. This is the only character I think is really close to Hinata in terms of strength. He's got good close range and a good nose. That's what we know leaving the exams, but we don't really know anything else, and we don't learn much more going forward. With that being said, I still think Kiba is stronger than Hinata, not only in terms of some interesting power scaling, but also in terms of a 1v1 matchup. With that being said, there's literally no chance Kiba beats anyone else yet to be mentioned, whether that's because they're stronger or smarter. Shikamaru's my GOAT and extremely good, but he's also a support role, and in this moment, he's not really all that strong on his own, albeit he's extremely good within a team. What makes him stand out is obviously how smart he is, which puts him in leagues above the people below him, but also isn't enough to get him over the people above him. Like, yeah, realistically I think Shikamaru could probably trap any of the not yet mentioned in Shadow Possession, besides Lee, but he also can't go much further than that, which in reality doesn't determine his strength, but does determine his limit. How much trouble he would have to capture them is what I'm wondering. And to skip all the yap, I'll just tell you that 6 is where he lands. I honestly don't know if he'll go much higher, but given his role, that's perfectly fine. 6 it is. This will either be the second most controversial ranking, or the first. Time will tell. Shino is good, like, he is. But also, the fact is, he wouldn't even stand a chance against the other 4 yet to be ranked. You're gonna need to sit down when I say this. Shino has had very good luck with his opponents. If he had someone who moved when he fought him, I guarantee that fight would go a lot more different at his current strength. With that being said, he still is really strong and lethal given the circumstances, so he still lands in the upper half of Konoha 12. Unfortunately for him, it's all downhill from here. The good thing is, it's gonna be more like a slight regression over time, which is only because his lack of screen time. A taijutsu master being the 4th strongest in the Konoha 12 shouldn't tell you he's 4th overall, it should simply tell you how amazing it is to watch Lee. This is just a personal opinion, but when Lee isn't getting boned by pacing, his fighting is a highlight on whatever part it's included in. But even though Lee is a personal favorite and a fan favorite, he is 4th strongest overall, even if we're rooting for him 100% of the time. At this point, I can hear people making the argument that Neji should be here, or maybe even that Naruto or Sasuke should be here in Lee's place. But I don't think that makes much sense. If this was prelims, Lee would easily be over Neji. But since Neji has palm rotation by the end of the arc, and Lee would technically have to sacrifice himself to once again make it even, I see Lee as weaker. Still though, like I said, with Lee it's not a say on how weak it is, it's how strong he is given his limits. Which, for what it's worth, makes Lee a stronger character, just not a stronger ninja. This is either the second most controversial ranking, or the first. I originally had Sasuke at number 4, until literally the last second. Yes, Sasuke gets a ton of physical improvement in this arc, with his speed increasing, Chidori, and his curse mark if you look at it in the most positive light possible, but I don't think it's fair to say he's stronger than Naruto or Neji at the end of this arc. You can use Gaara as a reference point, but to be perfectly honest, I don't know how fair that actually is. But even without it, I think Naruto Neji beat him, and I'll be talking about why Naruto beats him during his ranking, but I'll talk about why Neji wins right now. If QB Amp Naruto can't get through Neji's rotation, then honestly, I don't think Sasuke's Chidori can. And it's also fair to assume that Sasuke doesn't know about the rotation's weak spot. So with those things in mind, I think Neji beats Sasuke, not easily, but still wins. Anyways, I think Sasuke is easily better than the other Konoha 12 mentioned, and I don't think that's a question. Chidori is pretty much a one-hit kill if your opponent isn't a Jinchuriki, and him having Lee's speed for a limited amount of time is insane. And that's with the curse mark, which is very clearly a disadvantage at the minute. So overall, Sasuke is the 3rd strongest. I imagine Sasuke won't have this ranking next time I do a list like this, but we'll see. No tenten glaze is going to save Neji from the silver medal. Definitely didn't save him from an uppercut to the jaw. Neji in 2nd seems like honestly the best spot for him. It shows he's definitely strong, but also that he can lose, which is something that seems almost impossible for Naruto unless he's fighting a Sannin. The main reason I have Neji in 2 is clearly because he lost to Naruto, because after all, Naruto did beat Neji in a fight when they were going all out, so it only makes sense that Naruto would be stronger. And some people can make the argument that Neji was just being careless, since Neji himself did admit that. And to that I say, bah humbug, mental strength is just as important as physical strength. And if Neji lost because of his lack of mental strength, then shit, that means he lost and is not stronger than Naruto. Naruto is the strongest out of the Konoha 12. Here's why. He has shadow clones, a lot of chakra, the Nine-Tails chakra on top of that, and he can summon a big-ass toad. He beats Gaara, something nobody else could have done, and with everything he has, he can also beat all the Konoha 12 in a 1v1. I think the main argument to this is that he can't beat Sasuke, since Sasuke does have a one-hit in Chidori, but oh my god, we see Sasuke hit Naruto with a Chidori later, and he does get out of that with something he has in this arc, so I think that's a pointless argument. And again, Naruto can summon a big-ass toad, something that Sasuke can't yet defend, which honestly is the main reason behind the number 1 ranking. Don't be surprised if Naruto keeps this ranking for the rest of the anime. That's very possible, but again, is a discussion for a different video. So yeah, that's the ranking. And remember, I'm always right, so this list is also right. If you disagree, somehow, let me know your list and why, because in reality, I'm sure there are a lot of differences. If you liked the video, consider subscribing. And if you want to support me even more, you can become a member on Patreon. And I don't really know how to end videos, so this video is just gonna end.